Once again, I have the pleasure to welcome you all to a business innovation seminar here at Mid-Sweden University in beautiful Sundsvall. I am Bengt Aldén, working with regional development, specifically within bioeconomy at BioBusiness Arena. We arrange these seminars once a month together with Fiber Optic Valley and Mid-Sweden University. And we invite leaders and decision makers from interesting companies, mainly in Sweden, but sometimes also outside Sweden from other countries. And today we have a special guest from Finland, which gives me the opportunity to practice the only word I know in Finnish, except for kiitos. A warm welcome to a Finnish lady who knows most of the important things of biomass conversion. She is Vice President at Valmet Pulp and Energy business line and works with strategy and business. I guess you can say biobusiness. Yeah. So I say tervetuloa, Dr. Marita Niemelä.
Kiitos.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Please. And of course,
Thank you everybody for coming here today. Thank you for inviting me and making such a wonderful program and letting me know what you are working on. It has been a pleasure because I see that we are working on many of the same themes, many of the same technologies, and with such good aspirations on making it work in an industrial scale. I was asked to first say something about myself. And I will start by saying that I'm a chemical engineer. I'm not one of our pulping experts at all. So our company is full of guys who know everything in and out from pulping and paper, and are also much more experienced in power technologies than I am. And that is one of the things that tells you that when forest industry is diversifying, Valmet is also taking the industry forward. And one of my jobs is really to look into these new opportunities and bring some new insights and know-how into the company. And that's what I've tried to do, and that's what I try to continue doing, and I will share some of these thoughts with you here today. This is a very challenging heading that I have, the future for Valmet and the forest industry. And you can imagine that when I tried to make a pick that what am I going to talk about, it was really, really hard. In 45 minutes, I can just give you a little bit of the flavor of the things that we are working on. And I need to highlight some of our accomplishments from our traditional areas of business, because that is our bread and butter. And then I will introduce into the world of more modern and new technologies that we are developing. And I try to pick up examples that are as close to the forest industry as possible. And there I had to give a miss to a couple of things that we are very excited about, but are then going to the new business sectors. So it's a little bit like a smörgåsbord, a bit of something for everyone, but unfortunately just the flavor. And I'll be happy then to continue the discussions during the luncheon later. So in the case there happens to be somebody in this audience who doesn't know Valmet, which would be quite surprising, I'm going to say just a couple of things about Valmet so that you get a feeling of what we are active in and what is the size of the company and our position. Then I want to touch upon the trends and drivers, and that's because we are not working in isolation. So we are part of the big global business, and we are impacted of all the big trends that are impacting all the other businesses as well. Then I will introduce you to our technology offering, and I'm just putting here introduce because that's the maximum I can do in this short period of time available. And what I will then probably get very excited about is when I get to this topic of emerging markets and I start talking about the new technologies that some of you actually here have been developing, and we are then delighted to commercialize. And then I provide a brief summary just to sort of capture what are the things that I've tried to cover. So Valmet in brief, what are we? Who are we? We are offering a combination of process technology, automation and services. So a very comprehensive offering to our traditional sectors in pulp, pulp, paper and energy technology, and also now increasing to some of the new business sectors. So our full scope is something that we are very proud of, and we feel that the scope and the level of expertise is one of the differentiating factors between us and some of our competitors. We are a sizable company, and even more so after the acquisition of automation that took place last year. So our orders received is in the area of 3.4 billion, net sales about 2.8 billion in 2014, employees are 12,000. We will be publishing the new financial figures in the coming weeks, so you will be then getting let's say more fresh insight, but that is not something that I can share with you yet today. What I also wanted to highlight with this slide is that we really have the top market position. We are within the first or the second or the third important player in all of these fields where we are active in services, pulp, energy, paperboard and tissue, and also in pulp and paper automation. And if we look at then the business where I come from, pulp and energy, that is a little bit more than 1/3 of the net sales in business in terms of Valmet. And then if we look at the geography, you can see that EMEA is really still our home market and the strongest one with 44%. What is also important, I think, especially for all of us here today, is that our R&D is really targeted in moving our customers' performance forward. And what do we mean by this is that pretty much everything that we do starts from our customers' needs. And we are really focusing on R&D and on development programs where we can work jointly together with our customers. Joint development agreements, partnerships, that is really the way to go. And it first of all brings us close to the needs and issues that our customers have, but it also kind of guarantees that the things that we are developing, they will have a market pull. It's much easier that way than pushing them to the market with a string. We all know how hard that is. And I think that where our expertise really comes to play, we will talk about Lignopust later, is really that we have extensive know-how on how to take innovations to commercial practice, how to scale up, what does it mean to do piloting, and then also to jump from there to demonstration. And that is where we can make the difference. And that is where I think that our role will be also in future, that we will be collaborating with universities for the deep know-how, which you will have, which we will never have. We will be cooperating with smaller technology developers who don't have the muscle and the global network and the customer network to take their innovations into the global market. And then we can actually take that role, and together we can make it happen. Trends and drivers. So we are not working in isolation. However much we love technology, we have to consider that where is the world going and what are the needs. When we look into the mega trends, it really is then the question that how do we enable the economic growth and well-being to the increasing population without risking our sustainable future. When we look into population growth, it will be like 9 billion people by 2050, and that's a huge amount. That will put enormous pressure on global warming. The importance of clean air, access to fresh water will only become more difficult. The more people, the more we will need all the different fuels. Now the share of fossils is somewhere around 83%. So it's a huge challenge, and it will be an increasingly hard challenge. Feeding the 9 billion is also a big issue. And therefore, we really have to look at all the different alternatives and sources that we can to be able to fulfill all the needs. So we are focusing as a company on biomass and residues. And I want to highlight that we are really working on residues and things that are not in the food chain. And we are also working in making value from recycled fiber and making value from waste. The more people, the more there will be waste. So that challenge is only going to increase with time. So therefore, our target is really to create sustainable results. And we are still mainly working for pulp, paper, energy, and complementing our offering with automation and services. And these sustainability goals are driving our technology development. So we are aiming at lower energy consumption, we are aiming at lower freshwater consumption and as low use of chemicals as possible. And this is really important because even pulp mills today, they are already having very stringent targets on the water use, and some are having difficulties in operation because of having some hiccups in terms of having access to fresh water. At the same time, we are really striving to utilize renewable energy. And for us, renewable energy means bioenergy. We are not active in wind, we are not active in photovoltaics. And since we are working in the process industry, we really aim at utilizing every ton of the feedstock as efficiently as possible. So that can be done by increased recycling or better process development. Emission reduction, a very important part. And environmental systems is one of the areas where we see that we still have a lot of potential and a lot of business opportunities. It's becoming more and more important. That's good for us. We have a very good scope of offering in environmental systems. So when doing all of these things, we are doing it really to create value to our customers, not only to comply with the regulations and health and safety, but also really answer to the social expectations and help our customers to create a very good brand. So and not least of all, the most important thing that is always driving, we are not doing things just for the love of the planet or the best of the environment. It has to make business sense. So it needs to boost performance, it needs to provide growth opportunities, better profitability than our old solutions. And that is really one of our key targets, especially now for 2016. We want to improve the competitiveness of our offering. And I just wanted to highlight that sustainability is really like the starting point and platform of everything that we do. So we have it throughout our operating principles. We have a clearly defined sustainability agenda. We also have sustainability reporting, and we are very proud to be recognized in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. So I'm not going to start elaborating on this one in depth, but just to show that it is taken into consideration throughout our operations. So we take sustainability very seriously. It's in the core of our everyday work. Then we talk a bit about our technology. What do we do? So we are really focusing on converting renewable sources into sustainable results. And that's a tough call, because that means that they need to be economically viable, environmentally sound, and socially sustainable. And we therefore are focusing on the raw materials that are waste, agricultural residues, wood, forestry residues, recycled paper, things that are not anyway tangled up with the food chain. And also raw materials that we are used to processing, so that we are kind of keeping close to our core, and thereby we can truly provide value to our customers. When looking into the end products, the second top row, heat, electricity, dissolving pulp, chemical pulp, mechanical pulp, paper, board and tissue, those are the things that you are used to seeing as Valmet products. Then in addition to that, we are now working on synthetic natural gas. Some of you had already been visiting one of our reference sites, Gobikas, just yesterday. Nice coincidence. We are working on biofuels processes. I will come to some examples of that. Some of our offering is valid also for bio-based chemicals. Some of these topics were also highlighted during the morning hours. Bio-based materials, clearly our shared common interest. New paper grades, that was one of the topics that we also addressed this morning. So we are all working on the similar kind of things which are going to transform the industry and bring new revenue streams. So this is one of the first case examples that I wanted to highlight from the very traditional area of our business. We all know that printing and writing grades of paper have been on decline, and large paper machines have been really, really hard to sell for the past years. So we have answered to the calls of the market, and we have redesigned our paper machines. So now we have a modular, cost-efficient, high-quality, safe and flexible machine that is selling well in the market. So we are adjusting our offering to our customers' needs and making the necessary changes to be able to be competitive. And it's not only competitive, but it is also a functional design, which has actually been acknowledged even in a design competition. So it is about providing the customers in every way the best possible solution we can. Then I wanted to highlight another kind of example, how to make use of the existing assets. Rebuilds is one of the integral parts of our business, and one of our recent cases is here in Sweden. So it is about increasing the capacity, and then we are delivering some of our new equipment into these projects, and thereby providing value to our existing customers. This work is proceeding according to the schedule. All upgrades are planned to be completed by the third quarter. So an example of what kind of projects we do in the case some of you might be interested in working in Valmet. Then a completely different one, a major pulp mill expansion from Brazil. Brazil is one of our core markets, and I wanted to take an international example so that it shows you that our footprint truly is global. So here we have been adding an additional line, and we have delivered a cooking plant, fiber line, pulp drying and baling, chemical recovery, non-condensable gas treatment system. And in addition, also our automation. So it shows that we are capable of large deliveries in global market. And this is another example from Brazil, one of the world's largest pulp mills. So this is a complete pulp mill technology delivery, and this is how far our capabilities go when we talk about our traditional business, pulping and pulp mills. So it is from process islands, rebuilds, to the delivery of entire mills. And here we can say that we truly are a global leader. Then I wanted to give the last case example from pulping from a different kind of a project. This is a new bioproduct mill by Metsä Fibre in Äänekoski. So it's one of the largest investments in Nordics, and certainly the largest in Finland. And here we are delivering key technologies, not the entire mill, and also the automation system. So this is one of the first examples where we can see that the forest industry is moving from traditional pulp mill to bioproduct mill. This said, much of this mill is still focusing around pulping, but at the same time it's providing a platform for other technology developers to consider utilizing some of these side streams and bringing in their technologies for demonstration, very much in the spirit of industrial symbiosis, which is one of the rising topics. And this bioproduct mill is kind of like building very nicely the bridge for me to talk about the new emerging markets and new emerging technologies. So we see that biorefineries do open up new opportunities. And this illustration is really coming from the traditional, let's say, like pulp mill type of operation or pulp and paper operation. And the companies are now looking for these new bioproducts. And then like trying to find out that which bioproducts make sense for a certain mill site, that's a very complex assignment. So you really need to consider what are the assets there now, and I will show you a couple of examples that what are the easiest cases where we can see that we have a fit with our new technologies. With some others, it will be a somewhat longer time span. And then then one of the sort of key points when you start having a multi-product mill is also that how do you then optimize the performance? So you have more flexibility when the market situation is varying, but especially then if you use that mill as a platform for demonstrating other technologies, then the question is that who decides how the entity is going to be run? And then it gets more complicated in terms of how do you then sort of make the profits. I wanted to highlight now a couple of things when we talk about the future pulp and paper technologies. I will talk a little bit first about the nanocellulose part. So we are not at the moment yet in a phase of commercializing anything around nanocellulose. It's still in the R&D phase. We have a team working around that, and therefore all the sort of ongoing initiatives that are there both on the industry and in the academia around nanocellulose are very interesting for us. So we have looked into nanocellulose production, and we have also ongoing work in terms of characterization, and closer to us is obviously the fibrillar nanocellulose. And that would be more applicable to paper and board coating, and we have already been running coating trials in our Uvascular paper machine, and therefore we have knowledge on how it performs. But then when it goes to the nanocrystalline cellulose, that is actually the part that goes more on the chemical industry side, and that is further away from our technical core and further away from our competencies. What is daily practice as we speak now is really lignin extraction with LignoBoost. So some of the fathers of technology are sitting in the hall on the other side now, so I feel a little bit humble. So in this particular technology, the target is really to make more value from the pulping process. And then how to do that? The question is really to debottleneck the mill, that when the recovery boiler is the limiting factor, when you extract lignin before the recovery boiler out of the black liquor, then you are reducing the load, and once you are offloading the recovery boiler, you can increase the flows, and thereby you can increase the production of the mill. So it's fairly straightforward logic. So that is the first benefit that the customer sees, that when we extract the lignin out, and by these learnings that have been developed over the years by some of you and by Inventia, we know how to acidify the mixtures and thereby make the lignin easily precipitative. And that can be then taken out as a lignin cake, and this dried lignin can be used as a solid fuel to replace oil, for example, in the lime kilns. But nobody's really interested in that energy value, because that is the traditional value that lignin has in the industry. It really is more about what is the potential of creating additional revenue streams from lignin. And that is really one of the million-dollar questions of today. That who will be the first party to come up with good commercial solutions on what can you make also from kraft lignin, which still has some odor, which still has some sulfur, and that therefore poses somewhat more challenge to the conversion technologies than, for example, organosolv lignin. And this is one of the hot topics that we are also working on, and therefore very interested in all the progresses in this field. And it's a multitude of research groups that is trying to tackle this problem, and a multitude of industrial operators. So we know that the race is on. And we know the old saying that you can make anything out of lignin except money, but we want to challenge that saying, and we really want to make money with it. So here we have a couple of cases already. The first one was from Domtar in US. So that is where we installed the first lignin separation unit, and the key result was increasing the pulp production by 5%. In practical terms, this 5% is like the lower limit, and in real life it's somewhat higher. So we know that this was in that sense a successful case. And we also know that they have taken effort in taking this lignin to the market and are looking into more value-added outlets for this particular product. The second order then we had from Stora Enso Sunila mill, and this has also been successfully delivered. And I'm sure that you're aware that there's a big laboratory in Stockholm now by Stora Enso, wherein the company is searching new valuable products out of lignin. So another indication of the importance of this technology and the particular importance of finding high value use for the lignin product. So great ideas, please come and talk to us. Then something quite different that is more related to our former power side of the operations and gasification. We had some discussions around gasification also this morning here at the university, and we have different type of gasifiers for different purposes. So we are gasifying waste, and we have a Lahti energy waste gasification plant in operation, so that's demonstrated. We have gasification that can be used as a side gasifier in an existing boiler, like we have in the Vaskiluoto power plant. We have the specific Repotec design, which we have been working on under a license, which is in the Golbigas project. Some of you guys have seen that. And then we have fast pyrolysis, which I'm also going to discuss briefly, steam explosions, which I won't have time to address today. Here I just wanted to highlight that when we talk about gasification, it's not something that you can easily take to the market. So it has been a long and winding road of development, and the first efforts have started already in 1980s. So this just shows to you that what kind of challenge we are facing as a technology supplier when we are bringing in new technologies and commercializing them. It really requires a lot of time and patience. It requires long-term cooperation with customers and sometimes also with development parties to be able to make it. So it's many steps, little steps of progress. Then finally we came up with the unique waste-fueled gasification plant in Lahti. And that is one of the sites which we happily show to customers and press and people who are interested in, because it's globally unique and really efficient. So efficiency is one of its sort of big benefits. So Valmet gasification, what do you get? You get proven gasification technologies. So it's possible to have a partial or complete fuel change in an existing power plant. It's possible to have a high efficiency waste-to-energy technology for electricity production, indirect gasification for the project like Gobigas, and then it's also possible to have lime kiln gasifiers in forest industry. And that's where I have the example here. So in the Oki project in Asia, South Sumatra, Indonesia, we have delivered 2 biomass gasifiers which are utilizing our bubbling fluidized bed technology. And these gasifiers are then used as to provide feed for the lime kilns. And this is one of the examples that we also have in some other reference cases. Sometimes it can also be beneficial for a pulp mill, instead of taking the lime kiln gasifier, to use very clean biomass, like if there's free sawdust available, and feed that in the lime kiln. So that's also a very economically attractive solution. So what we recommend depends also what is available and what fits into that particular site. But I just wanted to highlight that this is one way of utilizing our gasifiers, very close to the forest industry, which is the topic of today. Then pyrolysis is somewhat different process. If we compare gasification and pyrolysis, gasification proceeds somewhere around 800, 900 degrees C. If you talk about circulated gasifiers, pyrolysis proceeds at a significantly lower temperature, typically 500 or 550. And the aim is different. In gasification, you want to get a gas. In pyrolysis, you want to get as high yield as possible of a condensable liquid. And what is special about Valmet's pyrolysis, it's integrated. And by that we mean that it's a pyrolysis unit integrated with a commercial scale boiler. And that means that the customer can benefit from existing assets, that you don't need to invest in the boiler if you have it on site. And we think that is a significant capital cost benefit. And then also this is a possible way of like making the best possible energy balance and utilizing waste heat. And we have calculated that the bio oil produced provides a significant CO2 emission reduction compared to the heavy fuel oil. The challenge with pyrolysis oil that as such it is acidic. It contains a lot of different components. The stability can be questionable. And therefore it is mainly used to replace heavy fuel oil in industrial boilers. And we know that it works in CHP plants. But then if you look into the demand of heavy fuel oil, for example, in Europe, it has been on decline. And now that the oil price is so low, so it's also challenged to be economically competitive. And this is a similar illustration as I had for gasification. So this shows that also in pyrolysis, there's a very, very long track. It's not something that was commercialized in a brief period of time, and it's based on R&D that was done at VTT. And then stepwise, together with UPM and Fortum taking it into commercial practice and having the first demonstration. So the time spans of taking these new products into the market have been long. And the environment is changing all the time. So the regulative setup, policies, so it makes it very challenging for us also to be doing the right things at the right time. So here we have the demonstration plant working in Fortum in Joensuu. It's up and running, and in that sense, it has been delivered to the customer as planned. The oil has been used in Fortum, and the oil has been also partly sold to other external customers. So therefore, it is also shown that it works, and it has some demand, but could be higher. Let me put it that way. Then if we think of what else do we do, then we have a completely different set of businesses utilizing the equipment that we have been working on in pulping for a number of years. And this expertise that we have on biomass pre-treatment, disintegration, drying, feeding technologies, plug screw feeding, and chemical reactions, steam explosion, pre-hydrolysis, screens and liquid filters. These are all the things that we can also offer to cellulosic ethanol industry. We have a multitude of references, 10, 15 for small-scale pilot plants. We have a reference that we can disclose for a demonstration scale plant. And we are offering and quoting commercial scale plants. So this shows that this new emerging market is gradually taking off. And when will it really fly? We all can just make a guess. The first plants are now in operation, and they need to be proven. They need to be able to accomplish their design values. And once that is said, then there's a better foundation for moving forward and getting the next investments. We already are there in terms of being able to offer large-scale solutions. And that is again how I think that we differentiate ourselves from some of the smaller technology developers who are also offering pre-hydrolysis equipment or pre-hydrolysis solutions. We know how to scale up. We can provide guarantees that our equipment works. So in that sense, we are in a different position. And one of our demonstration examples here is from Germany. So we have provided the pre-hydrolysis equipment for this cellulosic ethanol facility. And in ethanol business, that is really the far our offering goes. So we can provide our power boilers, we can provide our pre-hydrolysis equipment, some washing equipment, but we are not providing the entire process. So when we start talking about real like bioconversions in terms of enzymes and microbes, that's not our business. And I think that that's also quite important that we kind of like very clearly disclose that what do we provide and where does our expertise go. And when we are developing these solutions together with our customers, the equipment part is really the part that is Valmet's special know-how. Then just to give you a feeling that we are also working in different areas than forest industry. So Valmet has provided the automation for biorefineries, for example, for the large Neste Oil NexBTL plants. And these are using palm oil, animal fats, recycled oils as feedstocks. And presently it is as high as 70% that their feed comes from the recycled oils or animal fats. So only 30% is now palm oil based. They have done enormous work in expanding their feedstock bases. So we are proud to say that we have been involved in this kind of a process as an automation supplier. And this is important because when we start getting to more complex biorefineries, which might not even be run by forest industry, they could be run by chemical industry, they could be run by oil refiners, we need to start having that specific sector know-how and an understanding of what those technologies mean and what does that mean from the process conditions point of view. So in summary, I wanted first to talk a little bit about Valmet as a potential employer. There's a lot of students and people who might be interested at what kind of opportunities does Valmet provide as a company. So I hope that you have noticed during my talk that in Valmet customers are really in the core of our operations. We are answering to the needs of our customers. We want to move their performance forward. And that is the basis of our R&D, and that is the basis of all of our efforts in improving our offering. We also want to promote renewal, and the whole part of the bio business is part of renewal. So that is something that is kind of in our backbones when we are working and trying to find the best way of defining that how far does Valmet go when offering solutions to these different areas of technology, and when we are trying to understand that where's the best market opportunity. Excellence. We improve every day. I think that that's part of like the way of working, that trying to always find a better way of getting there, a better technology, a better process, and that has much to do with the attitude more than anything else. People. It is about working together. And I think working together is of utmost importance when we talk about these new emerging technologies, when we talk about the future process concepts around industrial symbiosis, the future combinations of different operators coming together to seek for synergistic know-how and to make the best value of each ton of raw material that is available. And if we then think of pulp and energy, I just wanted to sort of show you a little bit that what kind of split of personnel we have. So 20% is based in growth countries, and we are emphasizing all the time that we need to improve our global footprint. We have a fairly low percent of doctoral people, me being one of them, 2%, masters, technical 40%, bachelors 40%, a fairly high level of education. White collars 83%, blue collars 17%. So a multitude of different kind of jobs, and really a very good company to work on if you want to develop your know-how. A lot of room for that. 15% of employees being female. Standing example. So that is also, I think, significant when we talk about technology supplier. That's a traditionally very male business. Age structure, I think typical, having a small percentage of 60 plus and a fairly high percentage of 40 to 59, typical in expert organizations, but something that we need to work on. And then if you look at the sort of expertise, no surprising, in pulp mills, 50%, energy, 30%, which is and then bio and environmental systems, 17. But that shows that there's a significant footprint also already in these new areas of technology. So it's not just talking, it is about walking the talk. So sort of summarizing what we are working on and what we are aiming at. We really want to create value to our customers by converting these renewable raw materials that are non-food based into sustainable results. We aim at lowering the energy consumption, lowering the freshwater consumption, use as little chemicals as possible, increase the utilization of renewable energy, meaning bioenergy, targeting in as high raw material utilization and increased recycling as possible. And last but not least, one of our key targets is really to provide as low emissions, zero emissions when possible, and therefore we have a good palette of environmental systems. It is about combining our knowledge in process technology, automation and services when creating value to our customer. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Marita, for an excellent presentation. And there we can cut off we're now out of, we can just then have a lot of questions in English for Marita about the new